At this very moment, the Supreme Court is hearing oral arguments in one of the most important abortion cases in decades, one that could actually overturn Roe v. Wade. Case that they're taking up is a Mississippi law that bans most abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy. Now, that is directly challenging Roe v. Wade. And joining us now to talk about all the legal ramifications, our chief legal analyst, Laura McNeal. And Laura, first of all, I know you're listening right now. You're saying that the stage is being set in ways that people might not anticipate. Break it down for me.
Yeah, so essentially what's going on right now in the oral arguments is they're questioning the lead attorney for the Mississippi side of the case. And essentially what the justices are asking him is to justify why they should overturn Roe versus Wade. They're essentially saying, you know, it's been 30 years of precedent. What has changed? And what those attorneys are saying is the viability standard, that there's been medical technology that has shown that fetuses are viable before that 22 to 24 week standard. And so essentially the justices are giving that attorney a really a run for his money and saying, where's the medical proof of that? And what I've heard so far is he's not been able to establish that medical proof, which is going to be a problem because that is the heart of his argument for this case.
Laura, everyone that I have talked to seems to think that this case is the end of Roe v. Wade. And regardless of the oral arguments that you are hearing right now, the justices seem predisposed to want to do so. Are those people right or wrong?
It's interesting that you would say that because in these oral arguments this morning, Justice Sotomayor said, you know, you can't establish any reason for us to overturn this except because you don't agree with it. And she's saying, how can the court survive if they believe that all our decisions are political? She said, literally, if we overturn Roe versus Wade, the public will think this is political and the court will lose its integrity in the eyes of the public. And so I think that it's inevitable. I think they're going to restore abortion rights back to the states, let the states decide. But I think that Justice Sotomayor is absolutely correct. This decision, regardless of what it is, will be viewed as strictly political, and that's really going to compromise the integrity of the court.
Laura, what's fascinating is most of the justices for 50 years have upheld the constitutional right to abortion. Mississippi saying, though, that the Constitution does not support abortion. Is that a valid argument?
It really isn't. Essentially, the argument they're making is that it does not explicitly state in the Constitution the right to abortion. And what the Supreme Court justices have done in responding to that argument is there are a lot of rights that aren't explicitly stated in the Constitution, such as the right for parents to teach their children whatever religion they want, the right to homeschooling. But based on a historic case, Marbury versus Madison, it gave the courts the power to have the final say. They can reason based on those enumerated rights in the Constitution what rights we have. And they said the right to choose is one of those rights. It doesn't have to explicitly say it in the Constitution. So not the strongest argument considering, Dale, how many rights we have that are not explicitly in writing in the Constitution.
Laura, I am not a lawyer, but I play one on television more times than enough. Stare decisis. During the confirmation hearings of all of these justices that we have watched in recent years, the issue of stare decisis came up with regards to Roe v. Wade. And all of them to a T said stare decisis, it is the law of the land, and they did not plan to revisit it. If this case is overturned, if Roe v. Wade is overturned, it will make the justices seem like they lied under oath during their confirmation hearings. Is that true?
Absolutely. It will not only make it seem like they lied, but a lot of other rights, such as the right to interracial marriage, same-sex marriage, all of that will be on the table again if they do not honor that stare decisis. And so people don't realize, Dale, this case is much bigger than just abortion rights. It could literally change the legal fabric of our Constitution that guarantees us so many other rights as well. So there's a lot more on the table than just abortion rights. And so people really need to pay attention. This is a huge case with some huge implications.
I don't want to let you go without breaking that down further. Brown v. Board of Education, Loving versus Virginia, two landmark cases. What you're saying is that if something isn't law in this country for 50 years, then nothing is law. Is that a correct way to interpret what you just said?
Essentially, yes. It would be a fluid, our law would be more of a fluid process dependent on the composition of the court as opposed to a strict interpretation of the Constitution, and that's what's at stake here. We don't want to undermine, again, we want to follow the law, not our emotional reactions, our political affiliations. That's what's at stake here.